Kukuryk, as you already heard. I'm a playable art developer. I work for Popcore company. We based in Berlin. We make hyper-casual mobile games. We are a part of the Zynga and Rolling group right now. And I'll tell you some stuff about the playable arts from the beginning. So everything starts something more than 2 years ago when I was a software engineer. I was a front-end developer. And I got a very crazy idea to become HTML5 game developer. I know this is not very popular genre in making games, but I was searching for a job. I was find a very suspicious and weird job title called playable art developer. I have no idea what is it. Of course, I Googled it because I was a front-end engineer, so we only Google stuff on Google stuff on the net. So I found that this is something like a small HTML5 game in the way of demo of the game. So we can advertise the game, showing the small part of the game. So I thought this is the great idea to become even more HTML5 game developer. So I will be able to grow my skills rapidly because the company for sure knows how to do it. But suddenly it appeared that I will be the first playable art developer in the company. I have no idea how to do it, and the company also have no idea how to create playable art. So we have, it's working, cool. So we have 3 goals. The first goal was to find what are the technical documentation for the playable arts, what we need to build it and how to make it working. We need to create something like the environment to deploy the game, so it's the easiest part because it was almost the same like creating the website. And the third part, we need to create the ad. So we need to create the small game and make the first playable. Talking with the technical documentation, almost all platforms have the same restrictions. So we need to obey the size. So playable art could not have more than 5 megabytes. We deploy the game in single HTML file. Some platforms like Facebook or Google allow to use zip, so we could pack more high resolution graphic on that, but everything should be lower than 5 megabytes. We cannot do any additional requests, so we can download new assets. And all the providers have some kind of protocol to communicate with the mobile phones. The core function from this is to open the store to be able to install the game. These protocols give us some additional information like the proper resolution of the web view. Some like DAPI, that is called used on Iron Source, give us more tools like knowledge about the sound in the mobile phones. We could read the volume. There are some minor restrictions, more like the guidelines, so we need to remember to design the playable in horizontal and vertical orientations because we do not know on which game it will appear. We should be able to mute all sounds if the playable is not active and not disabled. And of course we need to wait for these protocols to be loaded and then we could just run the playable. We have 2 ways for creating the playable arts. We could make it in the code. So we need to build something like the environment, like the web pack, stuff like we do in the normal website, let's say. And there's 2 main libraries to render on the HTML canvas. We use WebGL, so there's 2 types of canvas, 2D and 3D canvas, and mostly common used libraries are Tree.js and Pixie.js. There's also some game engines for JavaScript, but using the game engines for the playables, it's overkill and we lose lots of size because we need to bundle the code from the engine. There's a lots of other platforms, a lot of other libraries who help us building those ads. We can use modern frameworks like React if we like, and Vue, I think, is also available for those libraries. We can use TypeScript to write better code. There's also libraries to help us with the animations. It's great XAMPP, and libraries to help handling with the sound and be helping us with the performance of everything. There's also some libraries to help with the simulations of the physics. The second option is to render the video. So we could just screen record the game. We can render everything in some 3D software and create small amounts of the videos. and combine them with a small amount of code. Like when the player taps in the specific region of the video, it will play another video, and with that we can create very simple gameplay. So advantage of this solution is that the person who do not know the code will be able to do it if he will get the tools from the developer. And it's very easy to iterate, and we can render everything, whatever we like, and we don't have problems with the performance. But disadvantage is like we have the huge size of the video. So we need to use bigger compressions, lower the bitrate, so the quality of the video could not be very satisfied for us, and the player could feel that his interactions with the ads is more like the YouTube he play and pause the video. So if we have lots of moves in the game, the player will feel that this is not working as a game, and he could have this different feeling that we would like to achieve. Okay. No matter how we create the playable, we want to test it. So all the providers give something like a pre-test tool. Some are available online, some are available only in the platform when we could run the code, run the ad. So the pre-test is something like checked if the playable is lower than 5 megabytes, if we use all those protocols, if everything works as it should work in the environment. And if we pass the pre-test, it will generate QR code, and with this QR code, we download. Before that, we need to download the specific application for mobile phones, and inside those applications, we can scan the QR code and run the playable ad inside the game view, the web view, and day 2. We can also simulate the playable as an ad card, so we could run the video before the ad will appear. So with that, we can send this QR code to the QA team, and they will test everything. We can also test it by ourselves on the mobile phone. This is the screenshot from Integral. So it's like it's checked if we have the size, if we use some special functions like if the game ready, if we say it's install button clicked and stuff like that. It was the first goal that we achieved, so we published the first playable, and we wanted to get some information from the playables, because we knew that maybe some players play on our playables, but they do not install the game. If we have something like the small HTML5 game, it's like the website, so there's lots of tools to analyze the game and the website. So we thought maybe we could try do some analytics. When we read the documentations, it's written that we are not able to do any additional requests. But there are some exceptions, and it's written like if we use well-known and trusted domain for analytics reasons, we are able to do it. So we thought that maybe Google Analytics is quite well-known and it's trusted. So we use Google Analytics. There were some problems because the playable ads and the web view do not work as the normal website, so we are not able to use any cookies. But Google Analytics gave us the tool to just send non-personalized, personalized data into the store. So with that, we have only pure data, like which event appeared in the playable. So with that, we was able to build something like a self-funnel. So we took the 100% of the player who see the game. With that, we could see how many percentage of the player make the first move. And if they continuously play, so we count how many moves they could do. And with that, we see the percentage of the players who reach the end screen and how many people go to the store. We do not have knowledge about what they do in the store. We don't know, do they install the game or not? But with this data came the providers. So the providers like Unity or Uploading could tell us how many people, how many amount of people already installed the game. So we could finish this funnel with this final data. We have another problems. We need to have, we wanted to have lots of data, but the slots for publishing the ads was, we couldn't make thousands of games because we don't have many slots to publish them. So a good idea to create A/B tests inside the playable. So with that, we create one playable, and inside we made some random functions. So we was able to show the different content inside the one playable. So we published once, and we made A/B tests, sometimes ABCD. And this is the game of scavenger hunt. The core idea is to find elements in the game. So it was testing the different animals that will appear on the game, and the goal is to find this animal. So we divide the data that we have. So we take 100% of one animal. Second, there was, I suppose, 3 animals on this test, even, and we create separate funnels for each version. So we could compare with the same, let's say, target group, which animal performed better. For instance, here's the example, like maybe the turtle have the better first interactions, but during the play we see that the pandas won because the player, when they start playing, they mostly go to the end screen and install the game and just go to the store. So we could get the information from that, why turtles works good at the beginning, what was bad in the panda that it didn't work on the beginning, but what was good that the player go to the end screen. This is only the good idea for learning. So if you want to make the campaigns, the algorithm will be crazy if we have some random functions inside the playable. So it couldn't make the perfectly campaigns on that. So this is the good only for the beginning, for one title, if we want to collect lots of data. When we made all the games, there's a lot of other platforms. As I mentioned, there's mostly the same restrictions, but there are some differences. So when we created the first game for one of the platforms, then it came another. So when I heard, okay, let's do it for the third one, so no, it will be too complicated. Too many issues could appear in the process. So lots of if statement in the code, it's not good options. So with all those tools like Webpack, we was able to create the different entry points for the playables. So we made lots of HTML files on each platform that we want to publish it. We made the same with the script of Webpack. So we have separated scripts. Everything has this core script that built the game. And with that, we was able to run one script, collect all those scripts together, and build proper versions of the playables. And with this HTML and script information, we was able to publish it on HTML or zip, depending on the platforms. Also, the code will need to be prepared, that we need to scan the protocols inside the playables, because if we run the protocol and the protocol is not active on the game, everything will explode. And of course, we have some JSON files, and with JSON we can name the game, the language that we use here, and with that we can create very fancy names that we have some our guidelines from the company, how they should be named and stored in our drive. Of course, we do not want to create those building tools in one playable, we want to use it on any games, so we separate everything with the Git repository. So we have one repository for building scripts, one for all these functions that could be reused in other games. So if we want to build, create a script from the new platform, I made it only once in this build script repository, and with that all the games have instantly options to build it for new platforms. And the same if we have some fancy components, some fancy stuff that we want to use in other games, we just change it in one place and spread it to the all other games. And every game on our company has one repository with the core functions and one repository for fancy variations for the play. I got a question why we ever wanted to use playable ads. Because we need to develop it, it's quite complicated sometimes, but the core reason to use playable ads is that we give this feeling of try before you buy. So if the players play on our ad and he hopefully like it, it's bigger chance that he will install the game and do not uninstall it rapidly. So we have better quality of the players, if it's not offensive word, but he will probably play more on this game. And as I already mentioned, with ads, we have playable ads, we have analytics, so we could get more data from the players and see what they like in the middle of the game. So maybe sometimes he will like one part, but not the whole playable, but we will have this information for it. When we publish the playable ads, we publish it mostly the same like the video, so we could use it as a standalone, so we just show it. We can use it as a rewarded. So if it's the rewarded playable ad, so the player needs to wait, for instance, 30 seconds, and it's a bigger chance that he will start playing, because what else he could do. So if he will start playing the game, maybe he would like it and he will install it. So we have lots of good results with the rewarded playables. And when we use the playable as the end card, so we display the video before the ads, before the playable ads, we was able to show the content of the game. So the player already know what the game is about, and we could experiment with the different versions of the playable as the end card, because we do not want we don't need to learn the player of the game mechanics, because he already seen it on the video. So this is the pull the pin game. So the game is like we need to pull the pins with the balls should go to the bucket. But with the end card, we could experiment and change the balls with the coins and show that the pocket. I do something. So as you see here, and so when we switch the bucket with the poverty, people you share the money to the poverty. But if we show this ad as the standalone, people wouldn't know what is the goal of the game. Should we help the poor people? Should we collect the coins? So it will be misunderstood. So some games, some playables worked very good as a standalone, but wouldn't totally perform as the end card, and opposite, the end card could work very good with the video and didn't perform well as a standalone. To summarize, there are some restrictions I already mentioned, so we need to handle the size, we need to handle the both orientation, horizontal and vertical. We should be aware of clear branding to show that this is the game, this is the name of the game. It's good to show the clear call to actions that this will go to the store, but we also made some false playables, like did not have this call to action screen and it performed also well, but this is the good practice to use. We should always use the tools from the provider, so open the store via this code that provides from the platform. We need to be aware of the sound, do not play sound if the player is not active, and we need to be sure that we do not download any additional assets. Of course, we need to restrict the illegal stuff that's not show that content is forbidden, or do not advertise different game that it is. So if we want to show the Angry Birds in the game with Udipin, it will be pointless. Of course, no fancy code like system errors or redirections, do some crazy stuff with the code. The stretch content is commonly used for video ads, so people just want to stretch the video to feel this horizontal or vertical orientation, and we could not override the close button and be aware of the safety area around the player, because there will be some stuff like close button or some legal information like GDPR. And the best practice is to just take the best features from the game. So if you have thousands of features in the game, we just pick the best one, because player need to have very low learning curve to switch from one game to play in our playable game. Of course, we could not use the hardest level because it would be too hard for the player and he wouldn't enjoy it. And the good practice is to let the player win, because it will give him better emotional connection with the game. If we will be able to finish the playable in 3 to 5 moves and make the player win, it's mostly the best playable performance. And could we play the video? And overall, keep it simple. Everything will be working fine. Could we look at Okay, this is oh, we have little sound. So this is the top to build. We need to build the town using some resources. The idea was to recreate the game. So the core mechanic of the game is this button. So when we press the button, we deploy some resources crate. From the crate, we deploy the resources, and then we could cut the trees and the other resources. So the first playable was not performing well. We showed this tutorial. We want to learn the players. Then we see that the video with the winter team performed good. So we switched the same to the winter, and then we removed the plus button. It was the core mechanic of the game. We removed the plus button because it was too confused. They did not know what's going on, and we revealed the whole game to the player. It will look. Sorry. It will look again. You repeat, okay? So the first one was the original gameplay with the covered game. So we wanted to learn how to play it. Then it's not working. Oh, it's working. Okay. So we covered the place. Do not touch anything. We want to learn. You need to tap this. We need to change it, and we want to just show how the game works. Then there's a second feature like the tap the trees. So we changed the theme. It was work better because it better contrast. Even if this is not the feature in the game, we don't have this winter theme. And when we remove the plus button and the crates, player could rapidly play it, and we put this one character in the middle. So player know, okay, I need to help this guy. But still we need to merge the wood to the plants, and it's complicated. At the third iterations, we made the move for the players. And this guy grabbed the plank and built his house by themselves. And with that, when we create two plants, the building is built and we win the game. So with that, it's maybe 6 moves, maybe 7, but we was able to finish the house and show what's going on with the game. Could we go to the last slide? And from my side, it will be everything. If you will have any questions in the future or want to stay in touch, there will be the last slide. This one. So again, my name is Jakub Kukuryk. And if you have any questions now, I will be happy to answer.
Hello. Yeah, thanks, Jakub. I wanted to ask how the playable ad affects the CPI and CTR metrics. Maybe you have compared like gameplay creative and gameplay creative with like interactive playable ad, or maybe a combination of both. So how it affects the metrics? Thanks.
So as I mentioned, we could use playable as an end card. And we have the best result when we find a good working video and we add some of the playables at the end. So standalone video did not sometimes works good, but when we compare it with the playables, we have a rapidly huge amount of the CPI. So it's mostly working like that. We have some playables that work as a standalone, but it's bigger chance to have well performing ads when combining those two versions. Any other question? If there's no question, I will be somewhere around.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jakub. Thank you.